Yo, I walk one. This is your boy, Shiton Legendary, and we are here with a Cyberpunk photography guide. Now, this isn't going to be a super in-depth. This is just me kind of telling you what I do, what you can do, what does what, where's sweet spots, stuff like that. This is a simple guide. We can't get too in-depth because there's a lot to this. Be here for like 2 hours, okay? This is just, the simples, the basics. With that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do all kind of creative stuff. I love making music. I love doing photography. I love drawing, painting. Look. Okay, here's a couple of mods you're going to need. You're not going to per se need these mods, but they will help you out greatly. Start well for my PC folks who can have mods. Starting off with the first one, Cyber Engine tweaks. Without Cyber Engine tweaks, none of this would work properly, at least in the quality that we want it to. Next up, you're going to need Glitch Be Gone. The Relic glitch is a little easier to deal with in the modern day, but if you are on a high-level character who's at in-game, you know the Relic glitch can happen fairly often. With Glitch Be Gone, the Relic glitch will still happen, you just won't see all the effects on your screen, which can interrupt your photo mode experience, believe it or not, still after all these years. The Edge Runner Bazaar. This is for all my folks who don't have a lot of clothing mods and your character might be low level, so they might not have a lot of clothing options. With the Edge Runner Bazaar, you can get a decent amount of clothes into your character's closet. Everything before patch 2.0, because unfortunately the mod is a little outdated, but it's still a good amount of clothes nonetheless. Then you're going to need Charlie Lighting Mod. This is one of the best lighting mods you could get your hands on. Everything you could possibly need right there at your dang fingertips. No spawning weird lights and lamps. No finding good spots for lighting. Every spot has good lighting with Charlie Lighting Mod. Next up is Appearance Mod Menu. This is going to be a big one. This is going to have a lot of stuff you're going to need. You gotta have Appearance Mod Menu mod. Keep in mind that all these mods are fairly lightweight too, so they're really not going to affect your game very much at all, outside of Glitch Be Gone, which removes the entire glitch effect. Other than that, these are tiny mods. They're barely going to touch your game. And we have Otis Cyberlit and Camera Tools. This is the only mod you'll be paying for if you want to. It is only $6.50 though. You're not going to be spinning an arm and a leg, and even though it's a subscription, you can cancel it whenever you want. So what you do is you buy the subscription, download the mod, cancel the subscription. Simple as that. That way you don't be having to pay every year when you don't need to. The Cyberpunk won't be receiving any more updates, so you won't really have a reason to stay subscribed for updates, because I don't think any more updates are going to be happening. With that being said, like I said, this won't be a super in-depth. This is mainly just going to be, my settings, what I use, field of view tutorials, stuff like that. Something short. In the future, though, I will be doing longer, more in-depth tutorials. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I started stuttering. So, alrighty, my good folks. Now we have graphical settings. We got V froze up in a, she looking swaggy. Hold on, check the fit. Got the white forces. The baggy pants, the blue vest, blue flag on the left side, the turquoise beads, of course, the feathers, the golds, look at the rings. She's swaggy. But look, okay, settings are important. Goodness. Now, depending on the power of your computer's processing capability, this is all gonna depend on what your computer can handle and what you're willing to put your computer through. Make sure you have a fan on standby to push cool air towards your computer. Simple as that. So right now, if your computer isn't the best and it can't handle too much, ray tracing, ultra graphics is like the perfect place you want to be. If you use AMD, make sure your joints on quality. Make sure image sharpening is at 15. You don't want to use the in-game image sharpening too much because it does a little too much. It makes the edges all frizzy and nasty looking. When you look around in the real world, you look around at photography, whether professional or unprofessional, you'll notice the same thing for all. While professional photography might have that sharp, clean, well-colored look, you'll notice that the edges of everything is still nice. Man, hold up. So you just gonna watch this much of the video, and you not even gonna subscribe? Nah, don't wave to them. They ain't even hit the subscribe button. Come on now, hit that subscribe button. And smooth, so it can help to the human's natural eye. Unprofessional photography, same thing. Old school photography is all the same. The edges are always in a good smooth view. What happens is when the edges are too sharp is you get kind of a World of Warcraft effect where you really can't tell what you're looking at because there's no real there's no difference from the foreground to the background, which makes everything look real bad. Okay, make sure those edges is nice, smooth. I keep mine at 15. You could go a little higher if you want. You could go a little lower or just cut it off completely. Your choice. I like it at 15 because it gives you a tiny bit. Remember, this is still a video game, so it still needs some form of sharpening in comparison to real life. As amazing as Cyberpunk's graphics are, it's still not real life. You know what I'm saying? Crowd density, keep that on low unless you're specifically doing some form of portrait street photography and you want to see people, or you're doing street photography and you want the NPCs there. Because remember, portrait street photography, street portraits and street photography is not the same thing. However, you do still want those people to be there. Film grain off unless you need it. Chromatic aberration off unless you need it. Motion blur off unless you need it, especially if you're doing your photos in the open world because you're making use of Otis tools. Vignette off unless you need it. Volumetric fog, keep that ultra. Keep it on low if you don't want to use it. Me personally, I keep volumetric fog off majority of the times unless I want sun rays in my photos, because outside of sun rays, it typically will add a really ugly gray hue to your photos. Since we're out here in the middle of nowhere, we'll keep it on. And then screen space reflections, turn that up to psycho, and then boom. Those will be your ultra graphic settings. That will give you this fantastic look that we got going on now. A little bright, but it's all good because it's showing you graphic differences. Let me go ahead and take a picture of that real quick. You can see the difference in a comparison. Now, let's say your computer is a little bit better and your computer can handle just a little bit more. Well, I don't know why I took a screenshot. You'll be able to see it now because that's literally what I'm doing. I didn't think about that till just now. Quality. As you can see, I have mine even lower here. Do not use ray reconstruction. That crap stinks. It makes your images so fucking sharp, it's hideous. I was doing that for years and didn't realize it. Sharpness for this is even lower because now our graphics become more realistic. So I keep it even lower here. Make sure all your ray tracing is on. Turn that up to psycho. Crowd density, same thing, off or lower or high depending on whether you're using it. If you're not using it, turn it off low to reduce overall lag of your game. Like right now, we're out in the middle of nowhere and we can't see a single person, so we're going to turn that nice and low. And you're going to come down. Same thing with the screen space. Turn that up to psycho. Volumetric fog, depending on where your character is, you're either going to want that ultra or low. If I am in a city area or a close-in area like a home, that comes off. Otherwise, you'll get a really ugly gray hue on all photos. It's real bad looking. Go ahead and apply that. That turns into boom. So now, as you see, our skin textures and everything look a bit better. The lighting has completely changed because now we're in the way. So as you can see, now your lighting actually properly works and functions. We get up on out the way, see her skin tone, skin texture, everything becomes a whole lot cleaner. Her hair actually looks attached to her head now. Clothing looks clean. Everything, okay? Shadow textures look even better, and the shadows actually, you know, showcase what's going on. So since we're in the way, and you see it, as where when we were on Ultra Graphics, see that lighting on her face just fine. And now if your computer is stupendous, tremendous, this is where you're going to be moving up to overdrive. Turn this to quality. See, sharpness is real low. Turn this bullcrap right here off, because on path tracing, it's really bad. Path tracing on. If you don't want it on at all times, then turn this off and turn it on in photo mode. Me personally, I like it to be on at all times. I don't 100% know if it makes a difference when it's just in photo mode, but I feel like it kinda does. I feel like the quality of it isn't quite as good when you have it on in just photo mode. I don't know, I could be wrong, but that's what it kind of seems like. Now go ahead, turn those, same thing. Low if you want it low, high if you need it high. If your computer can handle it. My computer can't handle all that, so I typically only use path tracing when I'm doing like little beach photos or creating my own scenery, because in Night City, can't handle it. That good. Psycho maxed out. That is it. Now when we apply that, that is where you get that photorealistic quality. Okay, let's get us up out the way a bit. Now you're not going to be able to see it super clean because we are moving around, but as you can see, the textures become even softer, even more realistic. Her skin tone, the quality of her skin, everything, she begins to look a whole lot more realistic. See the shadow toward her vest there is even smoother, even more cleaner. The texture on the skin, every dang thing is pristine. This is where you start to make your photos look real life. The texture of her lipstick even looks stupendously real. Can't tell that her hair is detached or not from her head. The only issue that I'm seeing is her chain for some reason is sideways. I just now realized that. Even the ground texture starts to look buttery smooth and really realistic. Of course, the darker you make your stuff, the better it looks, which we're going to get to shortly. Alrighty, peoples. I had to change her outfit because for some reason I was having a really bad light leaking issue. Not sure why that was happening. Wasn't the outfits. I probably should have changed it back because she looking not ridiculous, but she ain't as swaggy as she was before. Anyways, as you can see, we have three different things. We have a person, vehicle, and a tower. This is because we are now going to be talking about field of view. Now, for me personally, okay, remember this is just for me personally. When it comes to people, I like to do 20 to 30. Okay, this gives you that real high quality, professional, portrait look. Okay, 20 is if you want less of the background. You don't really care too much about what's in the background. Your only focus is the target, and that is a person in this case. 30 is if you want to be able to see a little bit more of their background. Okay, as you can see, angle looks about the same for her. However, we can see a little bit more of the car. We can see a little bit more of the tower. Go back to 20, back out about the same amount. See, we see less of the car and we see less of the tower, while still having a good view of our character. 20 to 30 also works pretty well for vehicles. If you want a good close-up view of the vehicle, I forgot to disconnect from the water tower. The dang what's name down there. You know what I mean? You can also get a fantastic view of the vehicle too. Alright, this gives you really good quality of the vehicle. I do this a lot on Forza. You can also go as wild as 10, but you're going this close. The closer the field of view is for your vehicle, the farther back you want to be. As you can see, that gives you a very high quality look at that said vehicle. This is what a lot of photographers do in real life. You be like a whole 50 feet away from the car, but your field of view is through the dang roof so that you can still see the vehicle at what seems like max clarity, but you're really like, you're way far away. Now, if you want more of a not so professional look, me personally, for vehicles, I like anywhere between, I'm gonna say about 40 to 70. So what that does is that gives you a less professional look and more of a, I'm at a car show, I'm taking pictures of cool looking cars. You know what I'm saying? Of course, angles can play a part in this as well, but angles is the lesser important. You don't really have to do angles if you don't want to. Me personally though, when it comes to cars, doing a left angle is always the best because that allows you to see all of the car, versus if you go to the right, as you can see, the car a little too long for that, unless of course you are on the other side of the car. Typically when doing photos of a car, you really want to be on whichever side the sun is facing so you can get those beautiful sun rays glowing and glistening off the whip. You know what I'm saying? Now that's 40, this is 50, This is 60. This is 70. So it really depends on what kind of look are you going for. The farther out you are, the more, you know, wide angle it is. Closer you are, the closer the angle is. Now this looks a little less professional, so for me personally, that's why I like 10 to 20. And if you're going to go with a not as professional looking, more of a natural look, then boom, 40 does a dang good job, as you can see. So you go back down to 20, all the way up. This is where the quality becomes more professional, because at this point the person would be up on a dang ladder and stuff, getting them far out, close range shots. And as you can see, that looks a whole lot more professional. 10. Now you're looking at like drone shots and crap, or a even taller ladder, but it gives you some seriously high quality professional looks, because as you can see, them sun rays get a little bigger. It just gives you that look that a lot of people do in the real world. Now 10 might be a little extreme, but 20 for sure, if you're trying to go for that fully professional look, is the hot spot. Now, what's bigger than a car? Of course, that is a building. My personal opinion, buildings work the absolute best with a wide angle view. It's too much structure to do just a 20 to 30. It's too big. So 60 to 90, depending on the height of the building, to me is the best. Keep in mind that here in Cyberpunk you can turn off ground collision. So if you need to go underground for a little bit, you can do that. Now in our case, we got this massive water tower. It's quite large. See, if I sit up at the top, we can't see the bottom. If I want to see the bottom, we can't see the top. This is why you need a far range field of view. You can only go underground so much before it becomes pretty unrealistic. See grass and whatnot. So going underground is only slightly an option if you're trying to stay within ground level. Anything beyond that is too far low. As you can see by the texture, I'm in the ground. We can't go no lower than that. Now we'll actually see the under. So this is why 60 if it's like a convenience store, 70 if it's a little bit taller than this, and then 80 for something like this. Now we can see the entire structure. As a matter of fact, we can even get closer. Now you see the whole dang structure, and if you're looking at a full-on skyscraper, that is where 90 comes in handy. In this case, 75 to 80 is fine. That is why for buildings, I love that 60-90 range. In case of this water tower, 80 is perfect. Now for all three objects then comes to the basics of lighting, okay? Me personally, when it comes to lighting, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about depth of field. Depth of field is more of swag. You want to see predominantly your main thing, keep it nice and low. You want to see just a little bit more, make it nice and high. Me personally, I like flat, I like 20 to 30, and I like 50. Anything beyond that, you may as well turn it off. Oh, boom, there you go. Anyways, times, okay? What times are the best? Me personally, the times that are the best are much like real life. That is going to be your early morning twilight hour, okay? That is going to be your overhead, but behind the person, or maybe depending on slightly in front, depending on how you're doing it. Slightly in front is a little rough though, so you got to really know what you're doing, or depending on what you're taking pictures of. Right, so let's go back real quick. Now, early morning twilight hour to me is good for anything. It could be a person, it could be a car, it could be structure. This gives you a nice, good, healthy golden look, and depending on where you are, it can be very golden. Where I'm at right now in real life, it's not super golden. It's more like this hue. Where I used to be, it was very golden. Okay, a couple of real life screenshots popping up on your screen right now. So it kind of works like that here in Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk is in Cali. So kind of pretty much works the same dang way. Life as a West Coast dude. So that's how I used to do my photos, depending on where I was at. Right? Now, if you're going to do overhead lighting for people is a little rough. As you can see, you look kind of crazy because the lighting is hitting the ridge of her eyebrows, which is kind of shadowing her eyes. Her face can't catch any lighting because the top end of her head her neck is being overshadowed because of her whole face, so on and so forth. However, for a vehicle, to me, overhead lighting is amongst some of the dang best because it really captures the look of that said vehicle. Okay, I mean, you could kind of see it here now. Overhead lighting for a person is rough because we have a lot of different dimensions. For a vehicle, it is a pretty straightforward dimension. A boxy or rounded large body where the only shadow that's going to be messing anything up might be in the front, but because of the way the front of a car looks in comparison to the way we look, it ain't the same. Overshadowed headlights is nothing in comparison to overshadowed eyes, where you can barely see the person's eyes. As you can see with the car, clearly you can tell that that's a good headlight. Okay. Now with buildings, same thing. A building is a large structure. There's much more simplistic features to it, much like a vehicle versus our face. As you can see with the car, it looks fantastic in this lighting. The tower, it also looks fantastic, said lighting as well. We go ahead and back it up. That's a good, clean water tower picture out in the middle of the desert look. Matter of fact, that's a really great looking picture. Dang near looks real. If we didn't know the fact that this is Cyberpunk, we would have thought that that was a real picture of a water tower, right? However, for the character, because the way our faces work, it's just not the same. We have too many things that move, too many things that can get in the way. We look a little ridiculous. However, if you push the lighting forward just back just a bit to where you can see more of her face, but we still get around that same color, which is usually around this about 14 hours. Now her face is shadowed, which means you can add your own lighting. Isn't the best, but it isn't the worst anymore. However, for me, y'all might notice, especially if you go back to the gaming channel where a lot of my photography videos still are, I tend to do a lot of my pictures in between the early stages of the twilight hour, which is about 16 hours in, down to about 18 hours and 30 minutes. These, to me, for people, are the sweet spots. Now for the car, of course, like I said, lighting for the car could work regardless of where you are. Same with the building. However, for the people, now you have full control of how you want your character's lighting to be, which we will get to in a little bit. As you can see, there's now no longer any lights that are going to distract her face any way, shape, or form. Decide to turn her around, same thing as the early morning light, it will also be on strictly her face instead of anywhere else. That'll make it bad. Well, not right now because we got a whole tower and a car in our way, but without those two in the way, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so for me, those are the times that I like to use the most. Of course, these aren't like the best and greatest things ever. You know, it all comes down at the end of the day to what you decide to use for your photos. This is just what works to me. I think would be a good tip for you as well. So that is around 6 to 7 p.m. for that early morning twilight hour. For that overhead lighting, to me, early overhead lighting isn't too bad. Like right around 9. As you can see, even though her face, the shadows on her face are a little incorrect like this here and whatnot, it is incredibly realistic. And it is some of the best timing to get your character to look as realistic as possible. Which is kind of unfortunate because it does give you the worst lights on the character. But it looks incredibly realistic too. Then you're going to want to be sitting, if you still want that early morning light without the light being on her face directly, about 13, within the 13 region to 14, so about an hour in. So as you can see, that is your early, let's say probably like 13:10 to 14:30. That'll give you that very blue, middle of the day, 12 p.m. lighting pretty much, without too much on the character's face, so you can add whatever lights you might want to add or no lights at all, depending on how natural you're trying to make your photo look. Me personally, if you're going to add lights, make sure it's very dim, because there's only so much lighting you can get within this hour due to how bright it is at this time. I mean, this is early day, sun is in the middle of the sky, there's not a whole lot shade. Then, for that twilight hour, that's going to be anywhere between 16 16 hours to 18, ooh, too far, 18 hours and 30 minutes. For me, that is the perfect time, and then for nighttime can be any time at night where there's no sun. So it doesn't really matter when. It's a good, clean night. Alright. Alrighty, now it comes down to character lighting. This will also be for councils as well, although I'm gonna get more deep in depth in the future where I can talk more about the lighting. Right now, this is really just kind of speed running the basics so that you can kind of get an understanding, and I'll make shorter guides that'll be more in depth future. Lighting, field of view, all that good stuff. Right now, just showing you the basics. So we have one character here. Okay, OGV in the building. Right? For my council folks, you would be making use of the lightings joints here. Now, when it comes to these forms of lighting, you have to be very direct. Because, ooh, what just happened? Oh, shoot. I hit the wrong button. You have to be very direct because these lights aren't the most powerful. So, as you can see, we can finally see it on her stomach there. Obviously, you don't see that in blue. You're going to change the luminance all the way up to white. At that point, it will no longer matter. This is going to give you a very basic, simple, white light. Okay? No crazy colors, no unnecessary colors. Then you're going to change your brightness all the way up to your inner angle, because these lamps are not very powerful. As you can see, we took it back just a little bit, and we can already barely see the light on her. Take it back a little bit more, it's pretty much gone. These joints ain't that powerful, so they got to be very close. You also have to make sure it's in the right angle too. So when you're doing that, make sure you have this joint way up, these two way up, and these two way up, so you can actually see your light. Now she's just ever so slightly up to the better angle, of course, to get more of her face and whatnot. You can spawn up to 3 total. See, so here you go. Now, like I said, I will get more in depth in the future. This also is the same thing with Charlie lighting, except you don't have to get so close because Charlie lighting is much more powerful. Me personally, when you're trying to make it look more natural, entropy lights are the best because these are area lights. Okay, spin it. Make sure it'll stay around your character no matter what. Matter of fact, let me back out so I can show y'all how far it really get. Get out the way. Spin it all the way around your character, 180 degrees. Okay. It's the brightness. Let's go ahead and put that back in front of her. This is the distance. Practically have it in her dang face, or you could have it about 3.5 meters. And of course, matter of fact, let's switch it this way so y'all can see it stretch outward to make it zoom way out. Okay. That I typically do when I need more background lighting. And you can make it super dang powerful. About to sneak. I'm trying not to let it out. That means I'm gonna have to get up and blow my nose in the middle of a recording. Yeah. So as you can see, that becomes insanely bright, and then you can spawn 10 lamps total here in Charlie. I doubt you'll need more than that. I've typically 10 lights has always worked just fine for me. And then you also have your effects. This is a part of your lighting as well. Okay, this is for both console and PC. Right? Let's go ahead, spawn a lamp so you can see your face a little better, but let's try to keep it natural here. So what you would do is spawn your lamp. Let's go ahead and hide it with show and hide and show and hide. That hides both the mesh of the lamp and that little pink tag back there. You can't see because it's behind her head. That joint right there, you can hide that as well. Me personally, just follow the light, and you don't have to ever have those two showing. I don't like to be able to see them at all. But boom, if you want the light to be a little bit more natural, to make it look like somebody's got like a lamp facing her in her direction, instead of it being like a full-on professional setup. Matter of fact, if your character is out in the light like this, you wouldn't use a full-on lamp setup unless it's supposed to be for something professional. As you can see with my full-on lamp setup, she looks a little bit more professional. The lighting becomes unrealistic though, which is fine if it's in a professional setting. Destroy all those, because we don't need that many. We just need that one entropy, or in this case, because we want it to look more natural, one spotlight. Now this spotlight is exactly as it says, it's meant for a spot. So if we go ahead and hide those and we make it real powerful, notice that, boom, is indeed in one spot. Can stretch that lamp out just a bit. We'll get more into detail in that in the future, but as you can see, it gives you a bit more of a natural look instead of the entropy, which is it's a strong area light. Not very many people in the world have powerful fucking area lamps that they can just pull around themselves. So a spotlight is much more realistic. And as you can see, she looks pretty dang fantastic under the light. Here's where another thing comes into play. Now, some of you can probably notice it. There's a lot of gray hue, okay? A lot of gray hue, and I don't even have volumetric foghorn. But you could tell that's kind of like that in real life too, so what you would want to do is you would want to play around with contrast. Contrast is going to help out your color and the strength of all the darks. Go ahead and show you what that looks like. So at 0, okay, everything, look at her, especially her belt, look at her belt. How gray that is. Turn that contrast down up to 20. Now, a little less gray. Change that up to 40. Her hair, everything, the belt, nice and dark now. Colors become a little bit more strong. Turn it up to 100. Okay, now the colors are maybe a little too strong, at least for now. Now you can't even really see the texture of her hair. This is where, you know, outside editing would need to happen. But when I'm in game, especially like right now, we're on path tracing. 40 is good. In ultra graphics, I would stick to about 20. Ray tracing, I do about 30. And in path tracing, I do about 40. Because that gives you looks. You have exposure. Exposure works just like on a regular camera. This controls the overall light intake. Okay. You have your highlights. This is going to control the highlights. So the darkness levels ain't quite the same. But as you can see, we have this dark. You dang near can't really see much of nothing because it's controlling all highlighted sources. That's anything the light is hitting pretty much. Exposure is just darkening the actual image itself. Feel what I'm saying? Pretty much like real life. And you got some filters if you want to use filters. Y'all know, well, actually over here y'all don't know. But over on my other channel, a lot of people know that my favorite filter was number 3. Gives you that real good nostalgic look. Okay, kind of like some 1950s. I do that with a lot of my 1950s themed pinup stuff. Darken a little bit, you know what I'm saying, to get more of that old school look. Filters ain't really necessary on path tracing though. That you would kind of want to edit afterwards. That, my good folks, is the basics of lighting and effects. I'm not really sure what else I could tell you. I mean, showed you Charlie, showed you fucking little bit of Otis. Alrighty, my good peoples, hopefully that was helpful. Got into the basics of pretty much everything that is in photo mode. Kind of forgot to mention, if you decide to spawn another character in your photos, just go to the characters, add a character, and lighting will still be pretty much about the same. You're really just, you're gonna then widen the light out a bit so that you can capture your other character as well. You know what I'm saying? That being said though, that is pretty much it. I forgot how to remove. I thought it off. It would move. Okay, I'm gonna say I guess not. It's been a minute. With that being said though, my good folks, like I said, in the future you will definitely be seeing some more guides to get more in depth with each feature, like field of view, lighting, effects and all that, cars, car photography, you know, anything that would be helpful for you in your journey, and especially as I quickly take the time to learn Otis tools, because I haven't had it for super long. I know a little bit about it, but not enough to really do a tutorial. I'm sure there's some other tutorials out there, but I'll probably do one. With that being said though, my good folks, hopefully any of that was helpful. I genuinely don't know what else I could have possibly told you. I touched on pretty much everything, the basics of everything. Settings, mods, lighting, field of view. Yeah. Anything other than that is going to be your own clothing, poses. I can't really give you a guide on poses because that depends on what you want to see your character posing as. So that part's really on you. I can't really help with that one. So hopefully I touched down on everything that was super important. Field of view for vehicles, field of view for characters, field of view for buildings, lighting. I guess I could have went with lighting for cars, but that, like I said, that will be a much more in-depth car tutorial because it's kind of hard to show you that right now. This is just for the general photography. We'll do more in-depth character, in-depth car, in-depth building. Buildings are usually pretty easy though because they're so dang big. There's not a whole lot you can do to mess up on. It really comes down to angles, so we'll get into all that in the future though. With that being said, I'm gonna need you to hit that subscribe button. I do all kind of creative stuff. I love making music. I love photography. I love art, drawing, and crap like that. With that being said, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's been your boy Jeton Legendary. I am out of here.